Hi, Cancer. This is a check-in. We are checking in on what is next for you. What is next for Cancer? We're going to see, take a look ahead, and then we're going to get some advice from Spirit on how to deal with what's next. So what is next for Cancer? Okay, so I am seeing, wow. We have the Page of Swords, we have the Ace of Wands, and then we have the Emperor. I'm seeing like a very quick leveling up. I'm seeing a very, you're doing your research on something, you're trying to figure something out, and then you get this push to like go for it. You get like this sudden motivation to do it, and it levels you up. Okay, if you are applying for a job and you think it might be out of your scope of experience, go for it. It's yours. If you are thinking about um, if you're thinking about starting some kind of business, I mean, I'm not telling you to go out and bet all on red, but if you're thinking about starting something, definitely go for it. This looks good. I'm also thinking about the fact that the sun, if you are a Cancer rising, the sun is currently traveling through your second house. Venus will be going through your second house soon, so there will be there is a focus on your material world, and there will be some blessings around your income or your possessions, anything like that. So I think that goes pretty well with this, especially because we have the Emperor, and it just feels like a very intense leveling up, and then there's something that really kind of goes well in your favor, and it just gives you a huge boost. Let's get some advice from Spirit on how to deal with this. Interesting. You know what? If you are, we have the Ten of Cups at the bottom of the deck, which is very lovely because these cards, we have the Eight of Cups, we have the Five of Cups, and we have the Wheel of Fortune. I feel, and I'm going back to the scenario of like if you're applying for a job that you're not qualified for, I feel that there's something that you might be leaving behind that you felt wasn't fully meant for you, that wasn't like, it wasn't an ideal fit. It was good, but it wasn't ideal. And it wasn't easy to leave that behind, but Spirit is saying like that was absolutely meant to be left behind because you're moving on and leveling up. So whether that is a past job situation or a career, anything like that. But the other thing that I'm seeing as well is that you might struggle with confidence around certain decisions when it comes to like financial aspects or something like that. You might be a little bit too in your head. There's something where you're like, well, it never worked out in the past, so you're getting this push of like motivation to do something, to explore something and act on it, and your mind is like, but everything I tried previously, like it just never worked out. Well, it never worked out because the time was not right. The conditions were not right. But to have the Emperor and the Wheel of Fortune, baby, whatever's trying to come in is gonna come in. especially because we have the Ace of Wands, which is often like an external motivation. I'm telling you, you might get some kind of offer, you might get some kind of, and like, don't hold yourself back when that offer comes in. 10 of Cups, whatever's coming in is going to make you happy. Don't put yourself down. Don't, it's very much this feeling of like, well, too good to be true, or it never worked out in the past. Screw the past. I don't really like to say this because that's not what I'm here to tell people, but I am getting this vibe of there might be some kind of online business, some kind of like, I don't know if it's like crypto or investment, something like that, that might work well for you. But please, 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 please be responsible with your investments. I'm not giving you any advice on that, but I am seeing something here that speaks to that a little bit. So that's just a confirmation for someone, not a any kind of advice. But that's just, if you already are thinking about that, you might feel more compelled in the future. There might be something else that comes up along those lines. And the fact that I'm talking about it for so long, like, Spirit is definitely pushing it a little bit. But make up your own mind. Okay, how can you be closer in contact with Spirit during this time? Divination, which is what you're doing right now. You're watching a tarot reading. So, but figuring out your own types of communication when it comes to divination. So setting up your own rules around signs and symbols, and paying attention to those when they pop up. What kind of situations did they pop up during? What were you thinking of right before they pop up? Anything like that. So paying close attention to signs and symbols all around you. Let's get some oracle cards for Cancer. We have clarity, absolutely. Clarity with the Emperor. But the Emperor has a lot of oversight. The Emperor can see from his throne. He looks down and is like, we have adventure at the bottom of the deck. Venture. There's definitely money things happening. But the Emperor from his position has such a clear view of strategy and how he has to move going forward. And then having the Wheel of Fortune with clarity. I mean, look at the compass here. Very much reflecting the Wheel of Fortune. There's definitely some, I think there's a lot of energy around accepting that, you know, like I said, things didn't work out in the past, but to release the negative emotions that you have around that, and to focus on what you do have control over. That's where this clarity is coming in. We have embrace your growth. A weed is but an unloved flower. Embrace your growth is very much going very nicely with this Ace of Wands. And again, the fact that I think there's something that you're holding on to that didn't work out, that didn't flower. Okay, this is what I'm getting. I'm seeing like there's a seed that grows into a plant, and you were very hopeful about this plant, and it didn't flower. And yet the plant kept growing, like the branches kept reaching and reaching and reaching. And it's like hoping for a flower. It's like hoping the seed that you planted would turn into a flower, and then being disappointed that there was no blooming, that there was no blossoms. And then one day realizing this thing keeps growing and growing because it's a tree. And then realizing that you're going to have like a tree that carries fruit, which is so much more amazing than a tree that carries, or a bush that carries blossoms. Because if you think about it, and I know I'm going like way into this analogy, but if you think about it, imagine you're planting a seed and you're looking forward to having like a bush, like a rose bush or something, right? What can you get from that? You get flowers that look nice, and you get flowers that other insects come to get their resources from, so they can, talking about bees come to the flowers, get the pollen, and then go home and make honey. They benefit from it. It looks nice, but other people benefit from it, okay? When you realize this is not just a rose bush, this is a whole tree that I'm growing, and it's an apple tree, when those apples are ripe, you get to benefit from that. A lot of people other than you will benefit from it as well, but you get to harvest those apples and make stuff with them, and you get the benefits of this. This is what I'm seeing here. And you're focused on the fact that your plant didn't blossom. You're going to get so much more than just lovely flowers. Okay, I'm going to leave it there, and I hope that this was helpful, and I hope I get to read